Well, hi guys, welcome to the Nürburgring in Germany. Every auto journalist has the Nürburgring on their bucket list, and today I get to cross it off mine. I'm actually at the Aston Martin Racing headquarters, and we're here because Aston Martin have come up with a new version of their DB11 called the AMR. Now, this car was born out of the launch of the Aston Martin V8 version. This vehicle is quite significant because it puts together the well-known power, that V12 power plant under the hood of an Aston Martin, and then gives you that strength of the rear end that we got out of the V8. So it's an incredible drive of the vehicle. So let's look at what they changed up front on this AMR. Well, you can see that there is a bright yellow or lime green, depends on how you see the color, stripe right up the hood. But that's reflected in this lower valance here, which is made of carbon fiber, and it has that same stripe around the sides of it. This vehicle has been blacked out. It's been darkened so it looks more menacing and more present on the street. All of the exterior pieces have been darkened out, including the headlights. They're black versions of the headlights. And to give it a bit more of an aerodynamic, menacing feel, the vents in the hood here have fins along them as well, which are made of carbon fiber. Now, of course, this has the 4 vents in the hood, which denotes the V12. Traveling up to the car, you can see it has a carbon fiber roof. This roof is actually lightened. It also has carbon fiber mirrors, and the fin that comes out the back is also carbon fiber. So what they did with the wheels is they took the wheels, which were originally just cast aluminum, and they milled them out of aluminum, and that saved them around 13 pounds, which means the car was a lot lighter in each corner, and that makes the actual the unsprung weight very even around the vehicle and light enough so the vehicle doesn't get so much pitch. It's very linear when you accelerate. Now, the 3 driving modes we'll get to experience on the road, but the interior is something we should also talk about. Super significant things on the interior of the car. They've put Alcantara panels on the seats. This does something interesting. When you're cornering at speed in this vehicle, it stops you from sliding around in the seat. Carbon fiber inlays on all the doors, and also they have a nice suede or Alcantara steering wheel, which has a flat bottom and is racing. Up the middle of the seats, they have that bright yellow or lime green stripe, and then also on the interior of the vehicle, carbon fiber reflected through all the panels. This vehicle, very much a DB11 on the inside, with some slight alterations to make that driving performance just a little bit better. So welcome to the drive of the new Aston Martin DB11 AMR. Quite a beautiful stretch of road that we've been driving this vehicle in Germany, and there may be some Autobahn in our future. Along for the ride, Perry Stern from Auto Next. Perry, you have been an auto journalist for about 1,000 years.
It does feel that way.
You've driven this already. I get to drive this as the second person in the car. Initial thoughts?
It's pretty amazing. I mean, the power, you've got 630 horsepower, so there's no hesitation, there's no lacking of any kind of performance when you need to pass, when you just want to go have fun, or when you get on the Autobahn and you see that lovely sign that says no more speed limit.
One of the things I've noticed definitely about this car, just from driving it, is on the launch of the DB11 V8 version, I absolutely adored the fact that they tightened the rear bushings in the car and they made the back end much more solid and much more stable. And they have a saying at Aston Martin, if you think it's the front, it's the rear, and if you think it's the rear, it is the rear. And that's where all of the dynamicism comes in this vehicle, from those rear bushings. So at that launch, everybody loved the engine, they loved the car, they thought it was great, but they missed the V12. Well, guess what? They decided to make a version of the car with those tighter bushings at the back, with a much more stable feel, and the V12, and this is what we got, the AMR.
Yeah, as I said, when we did develop DB11 V8 Coupe and Volante, there was some lessons we learnt from not just the subframe bushes. So the subframe bushes on this car are the same as the V8, so they're slightly stiffer. So what that does is give you better lateral connection with the rear of the car. But also what we did is change the damping, shock absorber damping characteristics to give you more support at lower damping velocities. And what that fundamentally does is, instead of the car either rolling onto the rear or feeling slightly soft laterally, it gives you more support in the rear of the car and more support laterally. And in turn what that does is make the car feel more connected and more agile.
So again, this car has 3 driving modes. It has the GT mode, which is for the everyday mode. It has this, which is the Sport Plus Plus, and then in between those is the Sport. Now I noticed that it's quite rough driving the Sport Plus, especially shifting points. It's not comfortable. And you said, Perry, you didn't really notice the gear shift when you're in GT mode.
In GT mode, the gear, I mean, it's an 8-speed, I believe. The shifts are incredibly smooth, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. So if you want to go, you know, on a road trip, long road trip with someone in the car that doesn't necessarily want to feel the speed and feel those crazy fast gear shifts, GT mode is perfect. But in Sport Plus, the shifts are incredibly quick, and it downshifts for you. It's, you know, you don't really miss a manual that much unless you really, really like manuals, which of course, as auto journalists, we do.
But what I do really believe about these latest generation of automatic transmissions in these high performance cars is they've done such a good job at shifting them, especially in a Sport Plus mode, that the vehicle can probably shift better than you can.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the automatic gearboxes now are faster than someone can shift manually. The only reason to do a manual is because it's fun.
Right. And are we all being replaced by technology? Probably. Yes.
I mean, if you look at the exotics like Ferrari, McLaren, Lamborghini, none of them offer a manual transmission anymore.
Just past this VW bus. So the sound is also highly increased once you go into modes. I actually like this Sport mode a lot more. That gurgle out of the Sport Plus is just amazing, isn't it?
It is, especially if you can find a tunnel.
Now, 630 horsepower, which is a ridiculous amount of horsepower. There's like 4 times what you'd find in a family sedan.
But I mean, that's the nice thing about Aston Martin is it's a it's a luxury car that has incredibly high performance, as opposed to just a pure sports car that you give up a lot with a pure sports car.
Right. So if you'd like to add an Aston Martin DB11 AMR to your garage, it'll cost you just under $242,000 at the Nürburgring in Germany. I'm Nick Miles.